And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, live from Bostic Enterprises. No, I'm just kidding. Guys, it is me, DC Soap Sanctuary, live here with the one and only, the CEO, the chairman of Bostic Enterprises himself, Albert Bostic. And today's topic tonight is why is Willow Tait so disliked on General Hospital? Take it away, Mr. Bostic.
The general complaint that I get from people is that she is very goody two shoes, right? That's what I've seen most. So I want to sit there and ask some people in the chat and stuff like that. Let me know what your answers are. Um, Now it's funny because there's a couple people that get on that list as far as being too goody two shoe. You got her, you got Nick Newman. You have a couple of people, and I guess there has to be a fine line between being bad, but also, being messy, but also being somewhat relatable, as opposed to being someone that you just can't stand seeing every time that they go on screen. Chanel, when she first started, I couldn't stand the air that she breathed. I really could not stand her at all. And I think after the actress left and you had the new actress come in, her character was a lot different. Like she wasn't so over the top. Stella was somebody else who I couldn't stand
Same.
every time that she breathed.
Same.
The only time that was tolerable was when she was with Mike. So, yeah, but see, like going back to Chanel was like, oh, a lot of people liked her because she was interesting and, she wasn't boring and stuff like that. But I felt like those was characters that was just going over the top. What's good, everyone? Thank you for joining. So, what is your take on her?
I'm Miss Willow Tait. She lacks depth as a character. I don't even think this fact she's a good two shoes because when we had Sabrina Santiago on GH back in 2013, and they did the whole Cinderella storyline thing with her and Britt and whatever, Patrick Drake, she was a goody two shoes, but she had depth as a character. And we were kind of slightly interested in Sabrina. Nobody wanted her to die. Willow lacks depth. And so because she lacks depth as a character, we can't see beyond that. Like I said, Marlena Evans or even Jack and Jennifer on Days, you can see them as goody two shoes characters, but they have depth, right? They have something beyond just that. Willow at times doesn't even seem to have a personality. I hate to say it. It's like, what is she about? You know what I'm saying? That's the thing I think we're missing from her as a character. So with Willow, I don't really feel like we see it. Like you mentioned with the last Chanel, the first Chanel to me was dry. She was a little dry. She's a little dry. This Chanel has that. Like we saw that in today's episode. That was good acting on today's episode days. I gotta give it to them.
Yes.
Every time just bringing it. Every time. But Willow, to me, it's just like she's not bringing no oomph, no zhuzh, no zest, And I mean, even Trina's like a goody two shoes character, but she has some type of zest going on to her. You know what I mean? But with Willow, I think that's the problem. There's just no depth written with her character, honestly.
I think I feel like this is another reason why I just can't get behind her and Michael. Her being the love of Michael's life. It's like, a lot of people, it's like, they felt like Sasha was better. Sasha had more depth. She just had something that she was bringing to the table, as opposed to Willow just being like, yeah, they give her a bunch of cringeworthy lines, and it's just like, it sounds all very sweet and sappy and over the top, and you're just like, I don't care, like I don't care. And it's, exactly, and it's one of those things where it's like, even, the sad thing is like, even though she's like dying from cancer, and I don't want to sit there and say I don't care, it's just here's the thing. I think it's more sad because cancer affects people in real life and stuff like that. So you feel sad for that situation. And you somewhat feel sad for her because of the kids and stuff like that. But it's like, how much sadness do you feel for her? Like, I've seen people like, yo, man, she can die and this show will just whatever. Like, I'm cool with it out of the way. And it's like, this chick got cancer, and most people sitting there saying, yep. I don't care, really. I mean, the cancer sucks, but, if she's gone, then I'm good.
Do you think it's
That's
'cause
how
of
they
lack
feel
of
about
interest,
her.
though? You think there's like a lack
Huh?
of interest though with her character? Is that's why people like can't really get into the cancer storyline with Willow and feel the emotions?
Yeah, they can empathize on a personal level because it's affected them, but when it comes towards her, not really. No.
Honestly, I would say that like soaps have done cancer storyline for the longest time. And this is the first time I've seen cancer storyline or soap where I don't feel anything. Even when Bo had cancer on Days, I felt it. When Reva had cancer on Guiding Light and the clumps were falling out of her hair in the shower, or Alexis had it on GH, you felt something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But for whatever reason, I just don't feel it with Willow. I'm like, she's like, I'm in stage 4 leukemia. I was like, oh, she's in stage 4? Oh, okay. Like, this is what I know. But I watched, oh, she's in stage 4? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, like, I couldn't feel anything with Willow. So, I mean, Willow is her character is kind of boring. She needs some zhuzh. And it's kind of like what I said last week when I was on your show here, on your channel. Like, you can have Goody Two Shoes characters, but give them a range. You know, we saw it with Vicky Lord and One Like to Live with the DID, right? She was this Goody Two Shoes woman in Lambview, but she had her DID personalities. Marlena, even on Days, you know, like Jennifer on Days, another example. She's definitely a Goody Two Shoes, but she has her drug problem. The characters need to have range, and Willow hasn't had that. And
Yeah.
I think that's what makes it so hard for her to feel relatable. And it's crazy. Even Molly, who is the ultimate Goody Two Shoes character, but Molly kind of has a range. I don't know if it's just the material that the actress is given, but Molly even feels like she has a range as a character. And with Willow, it's not there for me. And you know, some people are even saying in the chat, if Willow gets killed off, it'll be better, and we can get more of an impact from that than from her being alive. And I hate to say it, I think it's kind of true.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes the characters either they outlive their run or whatever. Usually, their their death impact makes more of an impact for the show, for the story, than it is when they're alive. I've seen that a lot of times in different characters. So yeah, I can 100% get behind that.
What character
Um,
comes into your mind though when you say that? When you think about a character who's had more of an impact in their death than went on the show?
I have to think about that for a while because and it's not even just the soap operas. I've seen it in just like other shows or whatever. It's like the characters like, oh, whatever, but then when they die, it's like it makes you feel something more.
Right,
Um,
right.
it changes the element slightly a little bit, and it's like, man, it just it's hard to describe, but it definitely does have more impact. I would sit there and say that. Georgie. Georgia
Yeah,
on GH.
Georgie's death had impact. It had impact. And I think if Georgie was still alive, I don't know. Well, I can't say we don't know, but maybe it was better that Georgie died because I think we got more from her in the death. Um, and that was when serial killer storylines are done right. Not what we got today. I don't think we still don't know who the hook is. It's like that's still confusing.
I almost forgot you actually was talking about the hook killer because I was like, oh, the hook. Oh yeah, he's still roaming around. I'm sorry, she's still roaming around.
Is it Heather Weber? Like, is it or is it not Heather Weber? I'm so confused.
I mean, for right now, it seems like it's Heather Weber, but I mean, at this point, everything can all just
I don't think the writers.
change.
I don't think the writers even know.
So,
But go ahead.
on a side note, before we get more into it, what's good, Felicia? Um, this is kind of an odd question that I'm gonna sit there and ask people in the chat, and this is for anyone that watched a show called The Boys. So there's this character that I feel like DC looks like either you could be related, you could be brothers. His name is A Train. Okay, I'll just sit there and say that. So let me know in the chat, everyone, if you watch The Boys, if him and DC look alike, like, or at the very least they could be brothers. Here's the thing. I forgot to mention that last time, and I was like, oh, I got to sit there and mention this next time that we do, we get together. So yeah,
I'm
let
looking
me
him
know
up.
in the chat.
I'm looking that up. That's a good looking man. But go ahead.
The best thing Courtney did was Jesus Christ, Nikisha.
Damn, Nikisha, that hurts.
Now, Jessica says, A-Train, I'm sorry, but they don't look alike. Okay. Well, oh, wow, okay. Well, I mean, I'm just talking about more like looks wise. Okay. All right.
Is it maybe
Um,
demeanor? Is it
hmm?
demeanor maybe something that reminds you of me?
No, just facial expression. Like, I don't know. If you get a chance to take a look at his picture later on, you may see her. You
I
may not.
had it up another tab real quick. I took a peek.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't really see the resemblance, to be honest.
Oh, wow. Okay, maybe it was just me then. I don't think it's just me, but we're going to ask people in the
Sometimes
chat.
what happens is we see someone that looks like somebody else, but they really don't. But there's maybe an eyes or a nose or certain features that just stick out. So that could be it.
It might be. It might be.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of GH today? Journal House, what you saying?
So I have seen all the soaps, including B&B, but I have not seen GH today as of yet.
Oh, my bad.
No, we can
So
still
what
talk
is
about it. I know it's still fair game. We can still talk about it. I know I'm supposed to talk about soap. It's fair game. Hulu don't drop it to 9 o'clock. I'm on Hulu time. I don't know why they have to wait that long. I guess that's when ABC authorizes for them to get their check.
actually it's supposed to be 8 o'clock though. It's supposed to be 8 o'clock when they
I
come
was
on.
watching B&B prior. Well, okay, B&B, and then I'm on the live now. So I'm on live now. So I was prepping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, actually, sometimes it may not come on till like 9:30. Even though it's a scheduled 8 o'clock, it may not come on 9:30. All right. So what have you been thinking of Jay so far?
GH so far, I thought about this the other day in the car on just my ride to the gym this morning, which is weird. I'll be thinking about soaps in the car ride to the gym. But like the only two storylines on GH that have the most coherence and makes the most sense is Portia's storyline with the whole paternity thing with Curtis, and then the whole Willow, Nina, Sunny, Carly thing. Every other storyline on GH is just like a blur, right? There's no coherence. There's no structure. There's no organization. And I was thinking about it. I was like, man, like those are the only two storylines that are like that have a flow, that have a direction. I think the writers know where it's going, or at least I think so. And the rest of them, I just don't really like the whole them trying to bust Victor, which I don't even know. And I said multiple times, I don't even know what exactly they're going after Victor for anymore at this point. And like you said, like you mentioned this last week. I think we can forgive them if they tie back to Luke and Anthony Geary comes back for the 60th. I think we can forgive this mess of a storyline with this whole Victor saga, because I don't know about the rest of the viewers, but I don't care anymore about why they're going after Victor. It doesn't bother me at this point. I'm convinced that Victor is not Victor. He's Mr. Sheffield under mind control from Manny. And that's Victor Cassadine. And I mean, honestly, like the Curtis Portia storyline has been amazing. Portia is definitely, she graduated from the school of Teresa Lopez Fitzgerald University on Passions for holding this long secret about Trina. Because literally that's what happened on Passions for our Passions fans, where Teresa had the secret that Ethan was little Ethan's son for all 8 years of the show. And I just feel like, why not just tell Curtis? She could have told Curtis on the jump. She could have just said, listen, I thought Trina was your daughter, but I think she might be now. You know what I'm saying? You could have saved yourself. You could have saved yourself right there in that moment, sis. Even if it was a little bit on the lie. You know what I mean? You could have slid that in. You know what I mean? You could have slid that in right there. But I think it's gonna have a lot of good of an outcome. And they brought on Portia's brother, so he's gonna have a storyline. Alan Locker's even interviewed this man. You're gonna have some storyline going on. And like I said, I think they didn't bring on her mother intentionally. But those two storylines on GH right now, I think, are the only ones that are coherent. What about you? What's your take, Mr. Bostic, CEO?
So, for yesterday and today, Jordan spent a lot of time. Well, actually, more today. Jordan spent a lot of time to sit there and try to guilt trip Portia into telling the truth. And I sat there watching this. I was like, listen, for 18, 19 something years, this woman has not said anything about the paternity. what makes you think today is going to be any different?
Right.
You know, and this is one of those things where it's like, I've read a lot of people talking about, Jordan needs to mind a business, this, that, and the third. And to some extent, okay, that on some level that might make sense. But it's one of those things where it's like you're going to be guilty by association at the end anyway, because you had an idea that it could possibly be, Curtis's daughter, and you chose to say nothing. So, I mean, granted, Portia is supposed to get. Well, here's the thing. Do you actually feel that Curtis is going to give the same energy to Portia that he's been giving to Jordan for so long?
I think that, and I laughed a little bit because I saw Nikisha's comment which said, "Wish survivors left Jordan out of this," but I think we'll get a little bit of it, and we'll get Aunt Stella shouting her really loud New York accent. She was talking to Curtis and Portia. Like, I think it was a week ago where she said to Jordan, "Wait, are you trying to tell me that Curtis and Portia are related?" And this whole she's sick, so she got to stay home. I think what's going to happen is this is going to push Trina deeper into Spencer's arms. Maybe Jordan might get a good slap from Portia at the wedding. I'm not sure what's going to happen. We're going to have to wait and see. And Curtis is going to be mad at Jordan. But I think him and Portia will be able to move slightly past this. I do agree with everybody, though. I do think that Jordan does is to mind the business that pays her, the PCPD. She does. But okay, so I guess go back to you. What do you think will be Curtis' reaction? Do you think he'll have that same sword? Because honestly, I don't think that he will.
I don't think that he will either, and unfortunately, I don't think that he will. Which in reality, you got upset. You lambasted Jordan for a while, and granted, it's not something saying that she didn't deserve some of the stuff that she got, but the minute that Portia got into town, he was so fast. He was so ready to move on to Portia. Now, Portia's been practically lying to this dude for about 18, 19 years about a daughter that he never knew that could possibly be his daughter. And I don't feel like he's going to sit there and get up as upset with her as he will with Jordan. And I feel like that's even worse than the stuff that's been going on between that history that's been going on between Jordan and Curtis. So I'm just like, it's going to be so disappointing because that's what's going to wind up happening. But I told everyone, I said, listen, have your expectations low. And I mean like knees level low, because there's a good chance that he's just not going to give her that same energy. I'm just saying.
What I don't get is, how do you marry someone knowing that your child is their child all these years, and you just think that they're going to live in the same house with you, be around this person, and they're never going to connect the dots? Because it's giving Teresa Lopez Fitzgerald right now. Because that's one thing I never understood when I watched Passions, was how she was going to marry Ethan. Her son is literally named after him. And he's just going to be raising his kid as his supposed stepfather. You think this man is never going to connect the dots? This is his son? Because if you want to keep your secret, you might want to stay away from him. That's probably step one. That's probably step one. So I'm like, Portia, I'm like, where do you think this is going to go? How far do you think this will go? And then you got Marshall, Hat Daddy, talking about his, schizophrenia, and I hope maybe he might have an outburst at the wedding. I don't know. I mean, Marshall needs something. He needs something to happen. We need something. We need something. But I just don't understand Portia's train of thought on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, DD. Yeah. So if you are enjoying the stream, hit the like button. It really does help out. It really does, because clearly we'd be getting people in that need I say more. But yeah, and going back to what you said, as far as there's people that's getting really good storylines, and there's people that's just kind of going all over the place. This goes back to the old trope of favoritism. Propping up certain characters and having everyone else just kind of, hang out by the wayside. There was, granted, today's episode was kind of filler, but you can just tell, looking at that room, like they had Dante and they had Sam. And I'm just like, I guess they're all trying to look for Maggie and stuff like that. but they didn't do anything except for just talking to them about their plan that they were going to do. I'm like, you know damn well y'all two were not needed in this episode at all.
You're not even
You
friends with
know?
them. They're not even friends with Curtis and Portia. Like they don't even interact.
No. They were in, I guess, Paris or wherever
Oh,
it was in the city I was trying to look for Esme, but they didn't really do anything in this episode, and it was just like, why are you here? You know? And again, that goes back to the whole favoritism thing. You know, you've seen it on Y&R with Jack and Mustache and Nikki and stuff like that, and then other people just kind of just go by the wayside. And the same thing in this show. But with Days, it's more spread out.
yeah.
So going into Days, what'd you think of the episode?
Well, if anybody is subscribed to my channel, you guys saw my status that I posted on my community feed after Gwen and Xander, rightfully so, took the spectator from Jack. I was just applauding. I was like, you better, this. And let me explain this for you guys. I'm a nut job. Let me explain this, my little rationale behind this. When Leo had mentioned that Jack stole the spectator from his mom back in the 80s, I was like, okay, then, so it's fair game then. Because, this is my thing. Jack and Jennifer and a lot of characters on Days, they act so sanctimonious. Like their shizzle don't stink. And it stinks worse than everybody else's. And so when Xander was just like, you know what, screw it. Let's go get it. And I was like, you better go in that Horton house. And you better get the spectator from them. And I remember when Jennifer said, oh, Xander, you're not with Gwen. You traded down, and Gwen was ready to snatch Jennifer up at that point.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was actually happy for them. As crazy as I was happy because I feel like that is Gwen and Xander's way of saying, like, people in Salem, you're gonna stop playing with us, so put some respect on our name. You're gonna stop playing with me. I was here for it, every moment of it. And I think what will happen is if they do fully acquire the spectator, Leo will probably take it over. And I mean, hey, rightfully so. That was his mother's business. That was his, that was his legacy. That was his legacy. But I have a lot to say and about Chanel and Ali, but let me just go ahead and tune in with you a second. See what did you think of Days so far?
No, this is really interesting because when I go back to the conversation with Jack and Xander, and Xander was there saying Gwen didn't live up to your expectations and she would never be like Abby and stuff like that. There was things that he said that was definitely on point, right? But here's the thing though, when he's there saying like, oh, we're tired of apologizing and stuff like that, it was one of those things where it's like, well, maybe if you stop doing bad stuff all the time, then you wouldn't have much to apologize for. So, on that end, I was like, see, this is where you kind of start to dip down in this whole debate with him. Now I take a different approach to it. Yes, which Jack did steal the spectator from somebody else. So don't sit there and start crying when somebody does the same thing to you because you blackmailed somebody else and somebody's blackmailing you, and now you're like, well, I can't believe this is happening. It's like, bro, not that long ago you had blackmailed somebody else. So on that, yes, fair game. Sometimes I sit there and look at the whole. They just lost their daughter, right? They lost their daughter. They're losing their newspaper. First of all, the daughter is the worst thing that they could have possibly lost. And now they're losing something that they built for years. So yeah,
I mean, you about that part?
Okay, well, maybe not built, but they worked that. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to look at it as a whole. It's like they just took another loss on top of a devastating loss. So yes, to some extent, I felt bad for them, and hell, even Gwen, even though she was mad and stuff like that, she does have a heart. She does genuinely feel bad for doing that, and it's more of a lashing out thing. So, it's kind of mixed for me, because I can see the part where it's kind of heartbreaking that they already lost something and they're losing something else. On the same token, like you said, all is fair, right? So there's that.
And I would add to that is that the thing is that they did lose their daughter. Jack disowned Gwen just for going back to Xander. She technically didn't really do anything but get back with Xander. He's like, get out of this house. You're not my daughter anymore. And I'm just like, I thought that was just kind of a bit harsh, considering the fact that he just let the
Yes.
wife get off on a murder charge or attempted murder charge. And it's like, this is what you do. And Gwen was on the straight and narrow, and he just put her out to pasture like that. And I feel like, in a sense, that's why, like, Gwen and Xander was just like, okay, Jack, we're coming for that neck. Like, like, we're coming for everything you got. We're going for the gusto now. And when they came in there, I did not blame them. And it's crazy, like, when they were walking through the Horton Square with Leo behind them, like a little trio. It was giving Sonny, Carly, and Jason vibes in my head for a little bit. But like, they all walked out like, yeah, we run this town. What's up? Like,
But you can't have a better trio than those three.
You can't. And the thing about it is, like, that's my whole thing, is that Gwen let Jennifer off in the charge. She was working the Spectator. She really didn't do anything more crazy at this point, but just decided to be with Xander. And the thing is, half the town was like convincing Sarah to stay with Xander. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, but because she decided to get back with Xander, all of a sudden Jack is like, I can't have nothing to do with you. But if it was Sarah who got back with Xander, you would have been all for it. So it was a lot of hypocrisy. And I feel like with the Hortons, they've been doing this for a minute, especially with Julie Horton. So much hypocrisy going on. Like, Julie Horton, and you might be familiar with the history, but Julie Horton has had this beef with Gabby for the longest time for killing her lovely Nick Fallon. When Nick tried to terrorize her, take Ariana from Will, did all this stuff, and then when Sammy, Tait, and Gabby pushed Nick down the ravine, he drowned to death. And so Julie's been holding this grudge ever since. But I'm like, Nick was not an angel. And so the Hortons, they have this sanctimonious thing about them. And so I was happy that Gwen and Xander checked Jack. And when she was on the phone, she's like, yeah, Commissioner Hernandez. Let's check aside. I'm on hold. I was like, Gwen, you better. I was so happy. And I'm like, what's wrong with me that I'm rooting for them? I was so happy because I feel like, especially on Gwen's part, she didn't really do anything to deserve, at that point, Jack disowning her. She's done way worse than just get back with Xander, right? So I just feel like that was so unwarranted. But when she kind of did like a return to sender, like, we're coming for that company now, I was like, you know what? I am here for this. I was so here. I was ecstatic. I was ecstatic watching it. I was ecstatic.
And you know what? You are right about that as far as morality goes. Like, so you're upset with Gwen for, helping Xander and stuff like that, but you have no problem with you know what? Let me be more sensitive about the fact that your wife decided to drive high and, nearly kill someone. And the thing is, Xander was like, it could have been innocent bystanders. And for him to sit there and say, oh, well, she apologized, she's sorry. And I'm just like, so if it was somebody else's dead kid, then we'll just sit there and say, oh, she's sorry, we just sweep it under the rug. Like, that part just pissed me off. Like, seriously pissed me off. So, like, don't sit there and start talking about morality when your wife is driving around high and stuff like that, but she decides to get back with Xander. She wants to be with Xander, and that's just, I'm disowning you. What is with people and they're disowning children? Like, that's not something you can do. You can't just sit and be like, nope, you're being returned. I don't want you anymore. That's not how that works. Like, we share the same blood. Like, that's not how that works.
But I think it's easier for Jack because he didn't raise Gwen. So there's like a lack of connection that's there as opposed to Abigail and JJ. Because I think if it was them, he would go above and beyond to protect them. But because it's Gwen and there's a little bit of a disconnection, I didn't raise you. You just came out to the scene, about a year or two ago. You just stepped onto the scene. It's easier for him to say, you're not my daughter. And then when she said, Dad, don't ever call me that again. When he said that. And I was just like, to hell with you, Jack. Like, I was like, to hell with you. They just got a company. To hell with you. And I don't blame Gwen and Xander. They need a job. They got bills to pay. That Salem Inn bill is piling up. And Xander's not working.
Hell, even Jada was like, it can get kind of pricey, and she's actually working. And yeah, Samuel does have a point about the fact that they forgot about the whole heaven scene, which I'm still waiting for them to go back to. What I was going to sit there and say?
Ali and Chanel.
But yeah. Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna move on with Chanel, but it was just more about the, like you said, the morality part. Like you don't, and I just meant that in general, like not just about the whole Jack situation, just in general. People like, I'm disowning you. It's like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
We share the same blood. Like, what do you mean you're disowning me? But going into the alley, I felt like this was deja vu over again with Trip and Allie. Because when you really think about it, the truth only came after she was pushed to give that truth. When everything was said and done, after all the lying and stuff like that, oh, you can come from under the table now. Oh, yeah, I slept with him. Like she's only gonna tell the truth when she's pushed to do it. When her back is against the wall. And then there's the whole, oh, I'm sorry, let me just start crying and stuff like that. Let's just say something really ditzy. Oh, can we just sit there and forget about it and pretend it just never happened? It's like when she says things like that, it's just like, Jesus Christ, this woman is in charge of a toddler. You're gonna have to take this one because you have to take this one.
I would say this is that I'm not surprised, and I feel like Chanel should not be mad because I said this weeks ago when they had a little menage a trois back in September that they were about to open some doors that they can't close with that little threesome. Like, don't you open up them doors in a relationship when you do something like that, you might open some doors that you can't close. And the thing about it is that I will say this: when Allie was crying, the directing, when they had her zoomed in from the side and zoomed in from front, I was feeling it. She's like, I was like, Allie, I felt it a little bit, but at the same time, you put yourself in this situation. I was saying at the same time, and I was like, I felt Chanel's like anger. It was so powerful, but then at the same time, like, sis, like, you opened that door up back in September. Like, what did y'all think? Like, you opened that up. And listen, there's nothing wrong with people wanting to explore the relationships and do stuff like that, but you got to be wise enough to know, like I said, that's a door that you just opened that you might not be able to close. And that's why, and I was wondering, does Paulina even know they had a threesome? Because I don't think Paulina even knows that.
No.
And that's why she was probably like, oh, he's not with Alex. She's not with Alex, baby. Allie loves you. And I'm like, why is Paulina talking so naively like this? I'm like, she must not know about that threesome. That's why Allie's really scared because she knows what they done did. And she knows that they had some of Alex. And, Allie might just want some more of that. And I think that's what happened with Paulina because Paul's like, baby, Allie loves you. I just want you to give that girl a chance. How Paulina does that all the time. How Paulina is. But it's just like, but it's just like, I was watching that and I was like, I don't think Paulina knows about the threesome because like she's talking so naively. Like, there's a reason why Chanel is shook.
Yeah,
she knows, and then it has some of that, and she and Allie might want some more, but I feel like those scenes when Allie was crying and with Chanel, oh my God, like when the directing was on point, they had a little zoom from the side. It was giving classic soap at that point. But I'm like, damn, I felt that. But it's like, what did you expect? Like, and see, this is the thing too. I look at those two, I was like, you see, how come Tariah can't get something like this? How come Tariah don't get something like this on YR? Like it was a good storyline, and it was good. It was good. What was your take, Albert? What was your take?
we definitely got to get back to the whole Mariah and testing. But see, now I just want to sit there and point out that DC, this is the reason why DC is so much more nicer than I am. He has much more of a gentler hand than I do. Because DC was like, I felt bad for Allie.
I did.
I didn't feel a damn thing for either one of those two. Because I sat there, and first of all, both of those two are too immature to be in a relationship. Both of them. Chanel might have started this whole thing. Allie definitely finished it. And watching those two crying outside the door, I just sat there. I was like, I don't feel sorry for either one of y'all. The best thing y'all could have did right now was to just end it, instead of further hurting each other. Because y'all both put yourself in this situation, Again, just felt like deja vu again with Allie, the crying, the woe is me. you know, with Chanel, you know, I did like the fact that I'm not gonna lie. This was one part that was I will give her props for when the first time the phone rang, with Alex's phone rang, and she was like, "Oh, you know, it was a different." Like, what did she say? Oh, I used a different ringtone or whatever for like rotary calls and stuff like that. And she's like, "Oh, okay. I just want to sit there and check something." And I'm like, "Listen, when a woman sits there and says very calmly that she just wants to check something, it ain't good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just not good." But you know, again, this is why I sit there and say that DC is a much nicer person than me when it comes to assist stuff. So when I say, hey, you know, listen, I'm going to be a little kind of harsh, aka I'm going to be a dick, you might want to go to DC's channel. I'm not joking about that. But what else happened in Days? Oh, did anything else happen in Days that was really worth interest, or was those two like the highlights
I just went
of
through
it?
it.
Right?
I went through the highlights. I want to add though, like when they heard Chanel knocking on the door, and for some reason, I don't know what it is on soaps where people knock on people's doors like they pay the mortgage or the rent. But anyway, Chanel was knocking on the door, and I was just like, they could have just opened up the door for her and just said Alex stop by. Like that would have just solved everything. But then when you did all that sneaky stuff, him under the table and the phone ringing, I was like, you just set yourself up for this. Like, you know, you just set yourself up. So when I saw that and she was like, I just want to check something. I was like, Alex, you're smart. You know what you say? Oh yeah, you know what? I think different ringtones and stuff. My phone just has different. She's a terrible liar. Alex is a terrible liar. I would have been like, oh yeah, I'm just testing on new ringtones. My phone's been acting weird. Sometimes I'll do one ringtone and do another. You gotta, if you're a professional liar, you gotta think to the next level. Okay, I'm not saying I'm a professional liar. That's what I'm saying. But I'm just saying that was me. I would have been 10 steps ahead of that already.
But you know the thing that's just, but you know, so real, you know, it's really funny though. This all could have been avoided if Alex would have just turned off his phone after it rung the first time.
True.
If I mean, and granted that you know that level of common sense didn't happen because you know we got to sit there and push the plot. But just think about that. My phone rings the first time. I'm going to make sure I turn that phone off, or at the very least on silent. You know, but this is one of those things where you got to sit. This is another one of those things where you got to sit there and dumb down the characters and move the plot forward.
But I wouldn't have thought that though if I was him, honestly, because you're like so busy trying to like not be caught. He probably don't make no noises or anything. But Ali just sort of said, "Oh, you know, I changed the ringtone. My phone has different ringtones and stuff." I don't know. I would have been more on top of that lie if I was Ali. That was a terrible lie she gave, but you know, it is plot. You got to work with it. It was plot.
Yeah, and it's not like you're like it's not like you're you know you're a professional liar or anything like that. Not you're not trying to teach people how to do that. It's
I'm
just
just saying if I was in that situation, I just feel like
yeah.
I would know how to untangle myself out of that. You know?
I want to make sure that we sit there. You know, I gotta sit there and be your PR guy. So
right,
sure that we
exactly, guys. Not a professional liar at all. So, but and then I mean, we all know that now Chanel's gonna be pushing the Johnny's arms. And I don't know why Paulina has such an anger for Johnny, but I get it. If your son-in-law was possessed by the devil and doing all that, I would want my daughter to stay away from him too in that family. Because when Paulina said, "Oh, it's the Salem Wonder twins," I was just like, "It's like what happened? The Salem Wonder twins." And then Paulina, you know, Paulina ever goes to the scene, "I stay away from my daughter." her facial expressions get me every time. Every time Paulina's in the scene, like. Come on, you guys see it, right? It's not just me, right?
No, I wonder if people in the chat definitely sees it. How was I supposed to sit there and say about? But you know, here's the thing. Now you said that Chanel's gonna be pushing Johnny's arms, but here's the thing about Allie. Now, if you heard about the whole situation, well, not the situation, but you know about the actress, though. You know about the actress, right? So the actress is leaving the show.
I'll get my Paulina face, guys. No.
But yeah, no, yeah. So she's leaving now. The question is, we don't know if they're going to take off the character or if they're just going to sit down and recast.
Wow.
So I've actually sat there and checked different sources instead of thank you CW, thank you. You are one of my rock stars. I really appreciate you. Super supportive squad.
Wow.
But yeah,
I didn't know
she's
that. I mean, I like her as Allie, actually. I mean, that scene, no wonder they gave her that good scene today. No wonder. That was the Emmy scene they gave her right there. Because that
I felt
from the sides, I was like, okay, what's up? What y'all doing?
I felt kind of bad because now I just actually told you a spoiler, but my bad.
I mean, I guess it's good so that way if they do recast her and then go, the role of Allie Horton will now be played by, it won't catch me that much off guard.
I thought no,
Wow.
I thought about that afterwards. I was like, oh yeah, DC doesn't like spoilers.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, as long as I
Um,
don't know how she's gonna go, so that's not too much of a spoiler. As long as I don't know how she's gonna go,
yeah,
that's probably a surprise though. Yeah, yeah.
I feel like you know what, I now granted, you know what, let me not even sit there and say because I haven't confirmed it yet, so I'm not going to sit there. It's just kind of hearsay, but another character, da 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 da. I do you want to know? Or do you not want to know?
Do I want to know? I don't know.
And thank you again, CW.
I'd rather not know.
Okay, cool.
Ignorance is bliss when it comes to soaps for me.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing, though. It's so hard now for fans, to not know about certain things. Even if you watch them on YouTube, it will sit there and recommend something, and then they'll say it in the title and the thumbnail. So it's like, you're just kind of screwed. And of course, as commentators, we just, well, I don't. I mean, sometimes I do kind of look some of this stuff up. This way I can be kind of ahead of stuff. But I don't know if you do that sometimes, though.
I honestly haven't done that in a while. And what I do is, for example, like let's say if I watch your video or James, someone else's, I don't read comments because I know sometimes spoilers will come from those. But honestly, like, so I have my Soap Sanctuary channel, my personal YouTube channel. Soap Sanctuary has all the soap subscriptions on there. And so my personal channel doesn't see any of that. But I've been spoiler free. Like when I saw Heather YNR on Friday, I was like, oh snap, she's actually coming back. That wasn't spoiled for me. That was a natural surprise. And it was the original Heather too, not the second one played by Eden Regal. So I was genuinely surprised. And honestly, I kind of like it, honestly. It's like I'm watching soaps, but then not watching soaps. I might get a comment from here and there, but it's very rare. So, but yeah.
No, that's good. It's very difficult to be, just a fan and stuff like that. I mean, granted, what we do, but just we still are fans of these shows. Now, just on a not even an offbeat topic, but James actually did an interview with what's his name,
Rory.
Blake something. Yeah, Rory, aka Mr. Wasted Potential. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought that was a good interview. I was watching it and just kind of getting his take on what happened in GH. And he's like, okay, he knew he was going to get killed or be the killer. And it was a good interview. It was a good interview. I was like, okay, all right. You got Rory on here. Okay, all right. It was a good interview. It was good. It was good. It was good.
Yeah, so definitely, if you are, or well, I can't even sit there and say if you're a Rory fan, but if you like the character on some sort of level, definitely check out James Love Jr.'s interview on his channel. I was sitting there thinking, I was like, if you like, I was like, I can't think of one person in this chat right now that actually like Rory. But if you like good interviews, definitely check out his channel.
He lacked depth. He lacked depth. He was on the Willow Tait. He went to the school Willow Tait. He lacked a lot of depth.
I really had to sit there and try the best possible way to spin this as far as trying to get people to go to this channel to watch the interview, because it's a good interview. Even though that the character was very poorly written. But
I would have liked it cycle though. If he was the hook, that would have been a nice.
That would have been cool. That would have been cool.
He could have done it. Yeah, he could have done it.
That would have been cool if that was the case. But the thing is, I guess they felt like, what, they disappointed fans from the beginning, so why not stop there?
Right.
Right. That's serious.
Right.
Now you watched B&B today, right? Which okay, you go first. What was your impression of it? What scenes hit you? What's your take?
The first thing I thought today watching BB, I was like, not Sheila having standards. That was the first thing I thought watching BB. I was like, not Sheila having standards. I was like, what is this world coming to? I know some people out there can barely get a date. She got 2 men wanting to go for her. I was like, not Sheila having standards. Not me feeling for Sheila too. When she walked out of there, like, I gotta forget about him. I was like, oh snap, they're actually making Sheila a human this time around. Like a human being. Not Sheila having standards. What? Like, what did this world come to? In all my years, I've been knowing Sheila since 2006, right when I started watching YNR. But to see her on BMB having standards, and at the same time, she wasn't exactly wrong though, because Deacon did put her out to dry at the time. You know what I mean? He wasn't claiming her. You know what I'm saying? And I guess, I don't know, maybe after shooting her son and her daughter-in-law, it just gave her a new lease on life, and she started having standards. She started leveling up. So in my mind, I was just like, no. And now all of a sudden, now Deacon's liking her, right? Now because Bill wants her, right? Tell us how it is in life. We always want something when somebody else gets it all of a sudden, right? It has value again.
And that's funny too, because first of all, I want to sit there and read this comment that Nikisha said. Where the hell is it at?
So pull it up. She must be doing those Kegels the way Deacon's so thirsty. Is that comment?
Yeah. But I mean, just in general, I mean, yeah, it's like what I'm pretty sure even she said, somebody else said in the chat maybe a couple weeks ago that Deacon only wants her now because she's with somebody else. So there's that. There's the fact that, okay, she doesn't want to feel like a consolation prize. There's that. And I sat there, I was like, it was like, is anyone actually rooting for Sheila and Deacon? Because I don't know why, but I kind of feel like I am. I'm kind of feeling like, I'm rooting for them. There's a part where he takes her out on this nice little date or whatever, where she's supposed to be, like inside, but he takes her out or whatever. And I'm just like, is it my imagination or is this dude actually falling for Sheila? At first I was like, maybe this is Stockholm Syndrome. But now I was like, nah, bro, you just lost your damn mind. And you know what? I'm kind of with it.
And we're rooting for them. That's what we didn't see coming as viewers, as us rooting for them. That's where I didn't see coming. Because I was like, when Sheila left that door, I just got to forget about him. I was like, dang, Sheila, I feel you. And I'm like, wait a minute. Did I just feel for Sheila? Like, what's happening? What's going on? What's happening here? You know what I mean? Am I in an alternate universe like Port Charles and General Hospital? What's going on? I was like, not Sheila having standards. Like, what? I have been watching Sheila since 2006, and I've seen the classic clips of her in YNR from the 90s, the early 90s. I had never seen this woman have standards before. So,
New Year. It's a new year. People are making these resolutions. So, I'm with it. I'm with it.
And you know what? I would say this too is like Sheila had a good point because Deacon was ready to put her out to pasture. I guess now Deacon feel like it's safe to be with her now because everyone knows Sheila's around. And I get it. The writers have to write Sheila away because Kimberly J. Brown is she's on contract now. So it makes sense that they have to humanize Sheila now in order for her on canvas to start making sense. It's still kind of hard because I've always known Sheila as a psychopath, and that's always the way they've written her over the years. So for her now to be written as a human, it's just like, for example, Obrit on GH was only written as like a mad scientist for a couple of years, and now we're merging out of that. But Sheila has always been that psychopathic type of person. It's like as if they tried to humanize Helena Cassadine in GH. Like that's the kind of shock to my system I have right now.
Wow. Okay, yeah. I can see
that. So it's just like, so when she walked there, it's like, I just got to forget about it. I'm like, Sheila's getting her own story, her own point of view, and like her own little romance storyline. And not only that, but Bill, Brooke, and Taylor are not in the center of this. That's why I'm not Ridge and Brooke are not have nothing to do with this. I was like, wow. And I'm feeling for Sheila. And I was actually engaged. I was like, wow, this is good. I was like, oh my God. And even when she was telling Deacon, I was like, yeah, you tell her. Yeah, you tell her. He doesn't deserve you. And I was like, wait a minute. I'm talking about Sheila here. She doesn't deserve Deacon. That's just really, I should have flipped in my head, but I couldn't.
Yes. So you got that going on. Now you got this whole, Douglas wants to live with Steffy, and uh, you got Hope, and well, Thomas is all mad, and Hope is not there doing her usual weepy stuff, and Steffy's just like, yo, listen, like, what do you want me to do? Like, I didn't come here sitting there thinking I was going to be going home with Douglas, but you know what? For right now, we gotta sit there and think about his needs and what he wants, and y'all need to sit there and stop putting so much pressure on him. And he was like, what, 8 or 7? He shouldn't even be in his position where he has to sit there and choose between what parent he has to sit there and live with. So I felt like he made the best decision that an 8 or a 9-year-old could do at the time. But
I was shocked the judge gave him a choice, though. I was shocked by that.
Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on that, though?
Steffi, Steffi really only has 2 kids, but it always feels like she has 8 for some reason in that house. But it's just, Douglas Forrester it's given Michael Corinthos the third when he was a baby, where everyone in Port Charles is raising him, but AJ Carly, and that's just what it's given right now for me. Like, it's given Michael Corinthos the third, the early years, where everyone now in LA is raising Thomas, but Hope and everyone in LA is raising Douglas besides Hope and Thomas, and I'm just like, okay, like personally, I feel like he should have been in Taylor's custody, but I guess Taylor has her own issues going on right now because they can't blackmail Sheila because she shot Bill. Which, did they explain why she shot Bill? Because I remember that storyline years ago, but they never were clear as to why she shot.
She said that she thought that Bill had took advantage of her. Took advantage of her in the R word, maybe, that I'm not gonna sit there and say. But that was something that she said that's why she did it. She was just in a rage and she thought that she took advantage of her.
I thought it was because like he was doing something in Thomas's life and she wanted to get back at him at the time.
No, this had to do with Steffy when they were together and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that R word that we're not going to say. Yes.
Right. I remember that. Okay. I mean, this whole thing with Douglas and the Forresters and where he's gonna live, and now he's gonna go live with his Aunt Steffi. I'll humor it because it was a good scene. I'll get that. It was a good scene, and Liam was just shocked. Liam kind of over Liam at the same time. Liam was just shocked in that scene. But I'm gonna be honest. To me, the highlight was really the Sheila and Deacon. Little dialogue scene, and honestly, I felt the passion between the two of them, and it was like. It was very well written of a scene. I was like, wow, like I'm forgetting that these are 2 characters. Well, one of them is someone that we really shouldn't be rooting for, but it's almost like I wanted Sheila to win that moment. It's like, yeah, she deserves some love too. Psychopaths deserve love too.
Exactly. Anybody can get it. Anybody.
If Sheila can find love, anybody can find love, guys.
Exactly.
It's possible. All right.
It is definitely possible. What was I going to sit there and say? But yeah, no, the whole. Well, actually, no. Okay, so just on a side question, what do you think of Hope's and Liam's place? I say that because, like Kyrie's have said that it looked like an unfinished toilet or unfinished. Like a lot of people don't like how their house looks. I think it looks kind of nice. Yeah, the cabin. I think it looks kind of nice, but there's so many people that's saying that it doesn't look good. It's really small. It's really tiny. Kyrie said that it looks like an unfurnished toilet. So there's that. So I just want to know what your take is on that place, because there's some people that just don't like it for some odd reason.
Did they redo the cabin or something?
see, even CW Snitcher saying, and it's what?
Like, did they redo the cabin? I mean, because it looks the same. Unless I missed something. Okay, here's the thing though. I did not catch B&B last week. This is the first episode I've seen in B&B like 2 weeks is the day. So, but they're still living in the cabin, right?
Yeah, they still live in the cabin.
Okay. Okay, I guess I got to see it. Kind of like when they redid the quarterly match. I guess I got to see that. I got to see.
Okay.
That. Well, speaking of which, just a quick aside here. I know we just talking about B&B, but do you guys see what I'm saying with Olivia? They're calling her Mama Q. They're setting us up as her as a matriarch of GH. Do y'all see what I'm saying now? Y'all thought I was that crazy, but they're calling her Mama Q. I don't know how else I can put this, guys.
Yeah, I can, and that's and that's the funny thing though. Sometimes with DC, I can see that too. I can see that too. It's like the little details that the writers will put in there. It's funny too because you actually kind of taught me something as far as when I'm doing my review. So thank you for that. But yeah, I think that was actually about it with B&B. It was actually really short. I mean, for the most part, it's been kind of a comedy, except for Douglas deciding, oh, I want to live with Steffy, and both of them just like, oh no, and I'm just like, this is a comedy.
Yeah, it was like Tom was like, but where are your parents, Douglas? Okay, all right.
Yeah, and he actually said it in kind of an almost creepy psychopathic way. But were your parents? What do you pop people? Like, what do you like? Just the way it came across, like, you give me like American Psycho vibes, to be honest.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think of Y&R?
Y&R, The Young and the Restless, CBS Daytime. Always number one. Y&R was, I thought, really, really good. The biggest thing, like I said, there was a twist when Heather came back because I honestly thought Heather was just going to be off screen for forever. Like it gave that kind of vibe. The whole storyline with Lily and Devon suing each other, and Victor's over here like, yeah, let's just tear them both apart. Like, Victor was over talking to Victoria like, all right, we're gonna go ahead and take the company from Victor, from Lily and Devon, and we'll make sure we get the company and induct. And I'm gonna give Technical Call Unlimited to Adam. Adam is fit to run the company. And it's just like,
but I can see why Victoria's upset though. She's like, she's just been blindsided by why they're going after Tucker's company to just give to Adam as some sort of pacifier project.
Victoria to me doesn't understand, like, and I remember I saw her face like, wow, like Adam, not me. Like, what? I'm like, girl, like, you were what, in your 40s? Like, I'm like, you still looking for daddy's affection at this age? And this is the thing with Victoria. It's like she is looking for this approval from Victor. I'm like, sis, you are in your 40s with two grown kids. Like, when do we put this to an end? Like, Nick, on the other hand, he does not care. He has moved on. Because I'm like, sis, Victor will always be on the games. Victor will always be on the games. Like, this is not a man you could trust, father or not. You know what I mean? This is not a man you could trust. Why do you think Nick does not mess with y'all like that? Like, he comes every once in a while, but he knows what time it is. And it's like everybody got the memo but Victoria. Because here's the thing, even when I finished about Chelsea, she was brought in to sabotage Victoria and Billy's relationship, but that didn't work. And that's how Johnny was conceived. And it's like, Victor has always done something. So when she's like, we're going to give it to Adam? He's like, yes, Adam is fit to run the company. That's why I want to get Tucker McCall Limited to him. I think it'll work out well for Adam. He's fit to run the company. And I'm just like, sis, you don't know who Victor is by now? Like, come on now. It's been 45 years. Like, even Nikki knows. She just accepts it at this point. You know what I'm saying? She accepts it. You know what I'm saying? She's waiting for that life insurance payout from New Enterprises about Victor. She knows what time it is. So it's just like, it boggles my mind with Victoria that she still doesn't get it. So,
now you got Victorious and they're kissing on Nate. What do you think of that?
So Nate he's playing a dangerous game here. I see what Nate is doing, right? It's a love quadrangle he got going on. He got Elena at home, thinking she's just perfect with her own little world. And he's over here flirting with Audra and with Victoria. And he got Elena at home. And I'm just like, and Victoria is his boss. And I'm just like, this is a very risky game that Nate is playing. It's one thing if you just only had Victoria, only had Audra on the side. Now you got two people on the side. A relationship by itself is a full-time job. Balance is somebody on the side, which I don't know about, but I'm presuming that's also another full-time job, right? I presume that's like another full-time job, right? And then another one on top of that, and you working at Newman, that's a lot going on. That's a lot going on, Nate. It's a lot going on. And
now, No, I'm curious. Okay, so I get the Victoria part and I get the Elena part, but what about Audra? Like, you think that there's something? Because it just seems like he's just like, you think there's something with those two?
Audra is no, I think Audra is just all, to be honest, just passion and just lust. I don't think there's nothing more past that for Nate and Audra. Like, there is chemistry, but it's just lust. Whereas Victoria, you can tell he's attracted to his brains, sophisticated woman. She strokes his ego, you know. But then he got Elena on the side, and she's like the loyal one at home, holding it down. You know what I'm saying? After a long day at the hospital, you know what I'm saying? She holding it down for a man, you know. But and to me, but it's a dangerous game he's still playing. And I remember when they had Imani originally in the mix, and I thought that it was gonna be Nate and Imani, and I guess maybe the actress left, so now that's why we're here. But honestly, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing a Nate and Victoria pairing. I think Victoria is more his speed, to be honest. I'm just gonna be honest. I think she's more his speed. I don't think Elena can hang with the cool kids. She didn't stand 10 toes down for her man when he was trying to hold it down, get the company. You know, he was doing some crazy stuff, some shady stuff. But that's my take on it. What's yours? That's my take. What's yours?
Well, I mean, Victoria, like you said, you know, between her brains and learning from her and very sophisticated, like you said, I can see that. So I can see that with damn, I forget there's so many people. And of course you got Elena, whatever, at home, just being the good housewife or whatever kind of vibe that's going on. But with Audra, I feel like, I mean, let's be honest, Audra, that girl got curves for days. I will sit there and say that. But I don't think there's any sort of even flirtation. I think it's just like him maybe mentoring her and, you know, hey, you know, you seem like you're a real go-getter and stuff. I don't feel like there's anything that's gonna happen between those two. Even on a physical level.
Yeah.
I just I don't see it. And plus now he's sitting there looking at Victoria. So I don't see that. I
Right,
don't see
right. Is she still in contact with Noah? Like, is that are they still kind of seeing where that's going, that storyline? Because Noah seems like he hasn't been on in a minute. I'm
He
getting
hasn't
kind
been on in a minute. Him and Allie. Remember Allie?
yeah,
I know,
Jack,
right?
Jack's granddaughter. I'm like, she's gonna be in the back burner quick. I'm sorry, I already see it coming. Like when she was hanging out with Noah, I was like, yep, homegirl's gonna be in the back burner. Damn, I know we're finally getting somewhere too. I was like, damn. The
They
first
talk
Asian
about
character, Weiner's at the minute, and she going on the back burner. You know, it's somebody hanging out with Noah. They're going on the back burner.
well, you got Moses that they were sitting there talking about in Summer. I was like, oh, you mean those two characters that are no longer on the show anymore because
Yeah,
they weren't serving a purpose?
yeah,
And then
Jack.
Allie, oh yeah, Allie and Noah. Now they're not serving the purpose, but of course you still got Mariah and Tess. So you know that's all sorts of fun, right?
And Noah
Right,
owns that whole
JC?
rooftop, and we don't see him no more. I mean, I already know that Mariah and Tessa is not going nowhere. I have no hopes on their storyline. Like the stuff they get to Alan Chanel on Days, they could be doing that for Mariah and Tessa. And you know, like I said, it doesn't like even how we saw in Days how they connected them getting the spectator from Jack, and they made that connection how Jack took it from Leo's mom all those years ago. I'm like, you see, it don't take too much to pull stuff out of, to write a good storyline and to connect it with what's already going on the canvas. It's not that hard to do that. And maybe the writers are right. They'll make Leo the son of Roman Brady if they do it right. Considering that his mom was with Roman at one point in time, that'll make him a Brady, and that'll make him and Will. Wait a minute, that would make him Will's uncle. All right. Well, he's never been with Will, so it still works. It still works. He's been going after Sonny, so it still works. But honestly, as I'm watching YNR too, it's just like the way they've written the storylines. I think it's been at a great pacing. Um, I'm loving the storylines that they've written so far, but just even watching how Victor was colluding with Kyle, and I understood that's why Jack ripped him a new one. It was like you colluded with Victor out of all people, and Victor is manipulative as hell. You know what I'm saying? He is. It's a textiles mills today for Kyle, and then afterwards, give me 20% of Jabot. Victor coming out, Kyle, I helped you out. You're a good man. You're good for my granddaughter. So I think so. You can give me 10% of Jabot Cosmetics, okay? I don't give a damn what you want, okay? I want 10% of Jabot Cosmetics, okay? I don't give a damn. Like that's what
Exactly.
Victor does. So that's why Jack is like, really? You mess with Victor out of all people? And we know how much Jack is a nice guy, but bring up Victor in a conversation and everything just changes. Everything changes for Jack. You know what I'm saying? Because I had never seen him ever get mad at Kyle like that. Ever. I had never seen that. So you know he was pissed. And okay, what were your thoughts on that? Kyle colluding with Victor Newman, the great Victor Newman.
I mean, exactly, the great Victor Newman. Damn right. I will say this: at least it gave Kyle something to do. It gave Summer something to do. It gave them some story. My issue when I first saw them were that they were just together and they was just doing these lovey-dovey scenes or whatever. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever, romance. But you two are boring as hell. Why are you on the show? At least now they're giving them some drama. They're, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's affecting their actual relationship. They're arguing, stuff like that. It's giving something good. And I'm like, and y'all can't do that for Mariah and Tess. Like, I almost had the same low opinion of those two that I do of Mariah and Tess. But it was like, they're giving them stuff to do. And what do they give Mariah and Tess to do? Oh, they do that stuff off screen. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're gonna go out there to do the whole. She was giving birth, and it was like, no, it was just Braxton Hicks. I'm just like, y'all just don't care about them, do y'all? Right. I would just love for one person, one of them, like one of the writers, somebody to sit there and say, we just don't care about them. Because at least I'll just be honest. Because there's people that actually really do like them, like they're Taraya fans or whatever. And I'm always asking myself every day, like, what is it that you like about them? Because they're not giving them anything that we can actually care about. They actually, gave us stuff with Kyle and Summer, and I didn't give a damn about those two before.
Yeah.
No?
The thing about Taraya is that when everybody was celebrating the victory, I remember James had it, and everyone was like, "Oh, Taraya, they got married, whoop, 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 whoop." And I was just like, we shall see. And, we have seen so far nothing. So to me, it's hard for me to find Mariah and Tessa interesting because they haven't really been given any kind of storyline that I can really sink my teeth into. So when you're talking about that for Kyle and Summer, I see that because this has given them something to work with. And honestly, it was good seeing those scenes where Jack was like kind of tearing into Kyle a little bit and where Adam was just like, no, I think it's good. I think it's to my leave. But it's just interesting that Victor is like this old and he's still meddling in his kids' lives. So you're just doing this to get so all this sabotage is just so Adam can come back to the company, run McCall Limited, which I'm sure will be a division of Newman Media or Newman Enterprises. All this you can have your kids under your thumb. This is why Nick saw the BS years ago. And it's kind of like that SpongeBob meme, when he gets out of the chair, goes, all right, I'm gonna head out. Like that was Nick. Nick was like, I'm gonna head out. Y'all go ahead. You, Victoria, go ahead, and Adam, you guys can go kill each other. I'm gonna head out. Like, I'm not doing this. Like, so it's just like and see, this is the thing that is very different between Victor and Jack as a patriarch, right? Jack respects the people in his family. He respects the decisions that they make. Victor's a totally different person. Like, Victor had Victoria arrested on her wedding day to Billy because she wouldn't give him up. Because that's what Victor wanted. He did something, had her arrested on her own wedding day. And I'm like, this is the man whose approval you're vying for? Like, sis, what's going on? Like, let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, is there a therapist in Genoa City for anyone to go see? Like,
besides Sharon?
Besides Sharon, and her coffee shop therapy. Maybe Taylor from B&B can go give some sessions remotely for Victoria. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, it just shocks me. I wanted something different for Victoria at this point, besides always trying to be under Victor's thumb and, like she wants to play at the big boys table or whatever. It's just, I don't know. To me, I'm like, wow, Victor, you're still doing this? I'm like, so this is why you and Jack, you guys, they're just not the same. Jack is not manipulative like that. And, when Ashley did not accept Diane, I understood that. See, if that was Victor would have done something, and Ashley was his sister. He would have done something to Ashley and made her accept Diane. That's how Victor rolls.
Exactly.
That's how Victor rolls. It's not even a conversation. Like, you could sit there and Victor would just sit there in the chair like this. And you could just yell at me like, I'm just like this. I understand your concerns, and your concerns are something to me. But I will hear them, and I will review them. And after I review your concerns, I'll let you know exactly what I think. Like, that's Victor. And meanwhile, in his mind, he's cooking up a plan to do something crazy to make you accept what's going on. That's what Victor does.
Very good point. Very good. And I can see. And the thing is, I haven't been watching the show that long, and I can already just tell that's what Victor would do. Now, what I didn't know was that Victoria is still seeking Victor's approval. I didn't know that. But you know, just going into Sally real quick, what do you think of her storyline with the Sally and Adam and Nick? What do you think of that?
I think it's actually a really good storyline, and I realized that I don't think Victor knows yet, right? Because I'm thinking he doesn't know yet
No,
about the baby, right? I don't think so.
nope.
Once he knows, I already know what's gonna happen. He's gonna walk into society, and Sal will be there, and he'll walk up to the table. She's like, "Oh, I'm meeting someone here. I know. I'm the person you're meeting here. I understand you're having my grandchild, right? So since you have my grandchild, I have a proposition for you. I will give you $200,000 when you have that baby. You leave town, okay? And get that baby to me. Where's that baby for you? Like, that's what they and it's like, and Sally, if you want, it'll be the best thing for you, okay? If you really care about your child, you want to be a great mother, you will give the child to me to raise on behalf of you and Nick and Adam, okay? And I was a child for you, okay? Me and Nick will both raise a child for you. That's what Victor will do. And honestly, I know once the news hits that Sally, either way, she's having a Newman baby, Victor is gonna be swooping on it. I'm just waiting for it. He's gonna just come
Like a
in.
vulture. Like a vulture, yes, exactly, like a vulture.
He's gonna
Now,
come in. Go ahead.
there's a lot of people that want the baby to be Adams as opposed to Nick because for some odd reason it's like people just don't like Nick. And I'm
Really?
I'm gonna get into more of that this week. But for some odd reason, people do not like Nick. They like Adam. They think that Nick is boring and Adam's really exciting. I personally think that Adam can come across as kind of pretentious at times, but
Um,
whatever.
Adam is
Um,
chill.
hmm?
I would just add this. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. What you say? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
no, no, no. What did you say?
I just feel like even though Nick is not with Sharon and Phyllis, like you always gotta look when you're dating someone, like how they treat the people who they used to be with, especially if those people are still in their lives. And they get such respect from Nick. Maybe he wasn't a perfect like husband, but he treats them with respect compared to how Adam treats Chelsea. Because like I said, when Adam and Chelsea are talking, Chelsea's like, yeah, I just had a hard day today. And then Adam's like, okay, you had a hard day. So like did you have a hard day with Connor in your presence? Because like I want to make sure Connor's okay. Like that's how Adam is. But with Nick, if you would if Phyllis or Sharon tell him that he's like, you had a hard day, you okay? Is there anything you need from me? How can I make it better? Like, and he's not even with them. So if Sally is smart, she would hope, or even she has to manipulate a test or two. I think I'd be okay with it and make it extra. I'd be okay with it. And honestly, I think if the baby is Adam's and she would have told Nick, I don't want Adam raise it, I think Nick would be on board. I think Nick would be on board with that. But I just feel like Nick is the better guy. I like Nick personally. I don't even think Nick is boring. Nick is a good-looking man, got going on, and he has that depth to him. Yes, he's kind of a Goody Two Shoes character, but Nick has that depth. He's done some stuff, right? He's done some stuff. So he has that depth as a character. So I'm all for it. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I was very curious on your take because I've only started watching. And Nikisha said something like, what was that comment?
She said you started watching after the worst of Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I like Nick. I mean, don't get me wrong. Adam, his thing. Adam can be funny at times. I would definitely give it to him for his sense of humor. But like, just and then some people are just even upset that she is pregnant. That Sally is pregnant because I don't really know much about Sally, but I heard Sally back in the day used to really bring it. She was really fun and exciting and kind of more, out there and stuff. And now they're just saddling her up to be a mother instead. So it's like they're kind of like toning her down a little bit, if that makes any sense from how she was. I don't know how she was. I mean, the only thing when I started watching is that she kidnapped Flo to have relations with a man. Like that's what it really came down to. It was like you were just that desperate to get in Wyatt's pants that you had to sit there and kidnap another woman to do it.
And I
That's sad and pathetic.
and I think that she thinks that probably like because even when she was with Adam and Chloe was rooting them on, which for a lot of reasons I don't understand why Chloe was rooting on the two of them, but that's the story for another day. I just feel like Sally kind of had this thing like, okay, well, like, you know, I'm not Chelsea. I'm his new girl, and I'm the one who's getting treated right in this situation. I'm like, sis, your time will come too. Don't worry, it's gonna come. Your time will come. Don't worry about it. Like, your time will come too, because you know, Chelsea didn't think her time would come, Adam, but it did, and he drove her crazy. Adam also drove Sharon crazy too, guys. Let's not forget. Okay, Sharon went crazy too when she burned down that Newman Ranch a couple years ago. She went crazy. So to me, Adam is just so pretentious of a character. Like I really don't like Adam. Him and Victoria are like two characters I really just don't like. Oh, I know, especially Victoria. I don't know what it is when she comes into a scene. You just the air just reeks of ignorance, arrogance. When Victoria walks into a scene, like does anybody feel that? Is that just me? Like she walks there, like yeah, I'm that. Like it's not even like okay, like when Imani walked into a scene, it was like, yeah, I'm that girl. But Victoria's like, yeah, I'm that girl. I own the building and I don't have to talk to you, you peasants. Like, that's what Victoria always gives. Is that just me, Albert?
No, it's not. Well, I mean, for me, she gives me very Jane Austen vibes. Like the way she talks, her dialogue, it's very like who talks like that,
Yeah.
you know. And granted, I guess she's an older woman, but I'm just like, you're not from the 1970s. I don't understand why they give her that dialogue, and which what it kind of it doesn't really annoy me, but it's when Summer starts talking like that. Oh, you know, you and Victor and your machinations, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, what? This chick is like what 22, 20. Do I need to look at my phone to sit there and try to figure out what you're saying? Like it just so yeah, I feel like she just gives more Jane Austen vibes than anything else.
Because
We'll sit
you don't think Victoria is like, for me, she's just never a character I've ever rooted for. She's always kind of carried herself like she thinks she's better than everybody else. She knows better than everybody else. She's that girl. And it's like, you're really not. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
you
because
know,
she comes across very
she kind of
snobbish.
is. She kind of is in some ways. Like, she kind of is in some ways. I can't even lie. But it's just that arrogance that she has.
It's
And
not just it's snobbish. She comes across as
yeah,
very snobbish, and I think that's the part where you get so turned off by a character because I can see that. I can see that I've dealt with people like her, so I
yeah.
can tell like that level of ugh. And then they start talking to you, and you're just like, shoot me. Well, point is, you could just you get that you get turned off by it just when they start talking to you. So I totally get that.
Like
I
I
can see
remember
why you don't like her.
there was a scene back in '06 with Carmen Mesta and Drusilla Winters, and Victoria was CEO of Newman at the time. I swear, the CEO, I can't even take Newman Enterprises seriously. They got a new CEO every 10 minutes. I can't even take it seriously no more. But see, Jack has pretty much always been consistent CEO Jabot. That's been consistent. But there was a scene where Carmen came into the room with Drusilla, and she's like, "You got to go on the shoot," and she's like, "No, I'm not going." And I was like, Victoria's not gonna like that, so you gotta take that up with Victoria. She's not gonna like that. And I remember just I was like, I don't give a damn what she likes. She's like, I don't give a damn what Victoria likes. Because Victoria kind of, and you know the thing is, it's like Victoria kind of has that presence where I feel like she wants her employees to be afraid of her. I feel like she's that type of person where like she likes that. You know, it makes her feel okay.
And you know, when you stop and you think about it, you look at Victoria and you look at Nina, right? And as much as I don't like Nina sometimes, I feel like whenever she talks, she doesn't turn me off because it's not like she's sitting there talking down to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's rich. Yeah, she's an heiress and everything like that. But she doesn't sit there and talk down to you like you're beneath her or something. As opposed to Victoria, which
Right.
is odd that I actually have to give Nina a compliment. But there you go.
It ain't so bad. She's not so bad, is she now? She's so bad,
And you know, here's the thing. She has her she'll have her moments. I will sit there and say that much.
right? Right.
I will say that much. But yeah, I think we pretty much kind of covered all the soap operas, right?
I think yeah, I think we did. We did. We actually did.
So leaving off some, you know, leaving this live stream with something positive. What is something that's positive you would sit there and say? It doesn't even have to be about soap. Just something positive that you would sit there and say.
Let's see. Okay, you go first. You go first. Cause I feel okay. You ask questions. You should have an answer to that. You go first.
Okay.
Yeah.
And granted, what I'm going to say is going to sound very well. I actually almost had two, but I'll just sit there and say one. Sometimes it's not always it's not always important to be right. When you're talking to somebody, you're discussing something. It's not always important to be right. And I always go back to the conversation that I had with James, aka James Live Jr. We could have argued, we could have went back and forth. I could have called him names, he could have called me names or whatever. But it was more important for me to sit there and understand where he was coming from because he brought a different perspective
Mm.
than what I was sitting there saying. And that this was about the whole race conversation with the Portia and it was Portia and Stella, right? Remember
Yeah,
that? Remember?
conversation. And
Yeah,
I remember you said you feel like it wasn't necessary.
yeah, and I felt like it wasn't necessary. But my whole thing is I'm not coming from this. I wasn't coming from that as a dad of raising three women of color. So at the end of the day, it wasn't really important about being right. It was just trying to understand where he was coming from. Be like, okay, cool, I can see that.
I would. Oh, go ahead. I don't know if you know. Go ahead.
No, that was it.
It was crazy, and this is not soap related, but I was watching a show the other day called All Rise. And I don't know if you guys ever heard about it. It's a show on CBS. It went to the Oprah channel. It's about the black judge. Okay, maybe you guys haven't seen it. But anyways, I was watching a show called All Rise. It was on Hulu. And they were in their second season, right? And, because they weren't going to get renewed, they got a second season. Their second season was during COVID. And, they had the masks up and everything and social distance. So I guess they worked COVID into the storylines. And as I was watching the show, and I'm connecting what you're saying, right? I was watching the show and I was like, wow, this show, it felt so political for some reason. Like as I was watching the show, that I felt like they almost lost an identity as to like what the show was about. And so I'm wondering, okay, like, is this how people might feel if they see certain episodes of GH, which I don't feel GH is at that level, but it made me wonder, right, when I was watching, because I was like, man, like, this show is a good show. It has a nice, soft tone to it. It wasn't as serious as those other law shows out there on TV or whatever. But it was just a lot of political notes they were hearing. And of course, maybe it was the pandemic at that time. That's what made them work in the storylines. But it made me think about like how they have these certain storylines on soaps that one people could say are politically based or not. But I feel like those storylines on soaps is what makes the soap feel like, okay, this is something unique. This is something I can get behind, right? Because one thing I love about soaps, and I guess it's part of my something positive, is I love when soaps have good writing. Even today with the directing on days when they had to zoom in from Allie, like I felt that. And I think my mom was walking past and she's getting some food and she stopped because she saw Allie crying, and like we were both like, like it was a good scene. So I always love it when I see soaps just have really good writing. And even like with GH, where Nina is not the match. We weren't expecting that. It all like Nina was going to be the match, right? And then now even the baby's not the match, right? So now we're like, okay, so who will be the match now at this point? I like it when soaps go one direction and then they don't. So I was talking to a friend. I won't go on a tangent, but I was talking to a friend the other day about Passions, right? They don't watch soaps, but I sent them some scenes of Passions, right? How it's my favorite show. And like, what kind of show is this? I sent them the whole half man, half woman mystery they had on Passions, right? But I was like, that was some of the best times to watch a soap because that show, you did not know what to expect. You didn't know how this dialogue was going to go. Everything felt unique. Like you couldn't predict anything. You cannot predict it. And so when there's good writing on a show, like Tait on Days was good writing from, Paulina, her facial expressions and Ali crying. It was good writing. And when that happens, you can really connect with the characters. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's actually going to do it. But I want to thank everyone for joining. This was a lot of fun. This is a lot of fun. So thank you everyone for joining. Like usual, can't always get back to the people in the comments, but you know who you are, and I really appreciate y'all. Monday through Friday, you know how we do. But we gotta sit there and have DC in here. So thank you for joining. This is a lot of fun. I was sitting there. I was joking with DC. And I was like, DC, as What did I sit there and say? I said something like, well, you're always welcome at Bostic Enterprises. So, anytime that DC wants to sit there and show up, he's definitely welcome. At this point, it's like it's not even really much of an intro. It's like, you know who DC is. All right. But thank you, DC. Thank you, everyone, for joining. This was so much fun. And we can't wait to do it again. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you guys in the next live stream.
Damn right.